Try not to say 100%. There we go.
100%. Oh, there it is. Oh, no.
100%. Oh, there's me 100% again. I'm doing so well.
I don't think we said it up until then.
Oh, no.
Is that your phone? Or even I could throw my arms up in the air. I don't know why I threw them up in the air because no one can see me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of More Than a Game podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Aaron. And this week we're going to be discussing form. So I guess the first thing we need to look at is what form actually is. What is form, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, what is form? I mean, you look at teams, they go in good form, they go in bad form. So I suppose it's like a run of games or consecutive games and weeks where you're doing well or doing badly. So, I mean, we look at Liverpool this season. Sorry to all the Liverpool fans, but their form the last 2 years has been incredible. And this year, how it's dropped, it's amazing, isn't it? They got pretty much the same players and they got the same manager. It's just crazy how form can just drop, isn't it? So, what was your view on form to start?
But you know what? I was I got in from work earlier and I did a little bit of research, and I typed in on a search engine on the internet what is form, and as you can imagine, it came up with all sorts of ridiculous answers. So I had to specify what is the definition of form in sport, because obviously I've got an idea what it is, but I thought I was quite intrigued to know sort of what the definition of form was. And what I got was pretty similar to what you said, really. It was how well a sports person or team is performing or has recently performed, which pretty much hits the nail on the head, doesn't it, really? And I mean, you obviously touched on Liverpool. The main example I thought of when I was thinking about this podcast was obviously you're a Palace fan, you watched the game. I watched the Man United Palace game a few weeks ago, and I in my opinion, I thought Man United were poor. I thought Palace played well in Palace's defence. No pun intended, because they were they weren't actually that defensive that game, actually, for a change. But I thought United were really poor. However, I thought their form has changed a bit since then, having beaten City. I know they weren't. What was the game? West Ham. They weren't quite as good, but I think obviously that's sort of an indication of their form. Their form had dipped a little bit with that game against Palace, and it obviously up. So like my search engine result is
I like this.
Shot out. It's how well a sports team is performing or has recently performed.
Yeah.
So I suppose what we need to look at then is what affects form, I guess, isn't it? Like what? I mean, there is what I don't know if millions. I don't know. Could we go as far as millions? We'll say loads. There's loads of ways. What, like,
if we go millions, people will get fed up of us, surely.
Here we go then. What is the problem with Liverpool then? I mean, obviously we don't know everything, but what do you reckon's going on with Liverpool? Where's their form dipped?
Just quickly before I answer that, going back to the Man United one, I've said to your original question that form is a consecutive amount of games that you're winning or losing, poor form, bad form. But then you look at the Man United one, you said Palace, they were poor. The next game was Man City, they were brilliant. And then the following week, they were okay against West Ham. So it's like, that's that's not really a run of good form, is it? It's like, it's unpredictable almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I suppose form could be up and down, can't it, I guess?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you call the on the machine when your heart rate goes up and down? What do you call that? I can't think what you call it now, but that's kind of what it is, I suppose, isn't it? Form can go up, down, up, down, up, down, or it can be going up, or down, down, down. I mean, it can. Yeah, I think you're right there. I think it could be up, down, and it can change, can't it? I suppose form can be variable, like you say.
Yeah, definitely. It's so unpredictable as well, isn't it? So, but I feel like if we go to Liverpool, back to the original question. With Liverpool, I feel like their form, why it was so good, is because I feel like every player bought into what the manager wanted. So what Jurgen Klopp wanted from the players. If you look at the season before they won the league, he was doing the same things. He was coaching the same way. He was doing the same formation. He had the same high press, high intensity game plan, which use an awful lot of energy from the players. I remember watching them, I think the season before they won the league, maybe the season before, excuse me. And the energy levels in the game was just obscene. It was just, I couldn't believe, I've never seen a team like, they were sprinting just as hard in the 90th minutes they were in the first. even in winning situations. It was just incredible to see. Building off that, they won the Champions League, and then they won the league. So it was like every player kind of bought into the manager. Everyone like understood their role. Everyone understood their positions. Everyone knew what the team would be. I suppose like consistency was probably the word there. They were very, very consistent, and it led to their success. To then say how they lost their form, I mean, losing your best players don't help. In my opinion, Virgil van Dijk is their best player. It's up for debate. I'm sure we'll debate about that another week. Virgil van Dijk is their best player for me. So losing him on first couple of games into the season, how do you replace that? You can't, can you? So there's no surprise there that it's been a dip in form. Losing him, then you lose other players. They had to put Henderson at the back. They've had to change their centre back pairings. They've had to mix and match the front three. They had COVID problems, they had goalkeeper problems. So I think like injuries are huge, and I think with Liverpool, I don't feel like, because they're so settled in their team, I feel like everyone knew what they're doing every week, and as soon as it changes with injuries, I don't feel like the new players coming in and obviously changing positions, they kind of lost their tempo, they lost their momentum. So I suppose, yeah, injuries is a massive factor of losing form. Would you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think and I think obviously we're looking at Van Dijk, and I think, what I find really interesting with something like form, and we've all been there as fans, as coaches or whatever. And I don't know, your best player is missing. That best player could arguably be, but it could be your top scorer who's missing, or your strongest centre back, or the player that plays out wide and puts in a lot of crosses. And I think that it doesn't just affect that position. I know obviously for Liverpool, for example, it has affected the centre back position massively, but I think it has an effect on the whole team. And I think people underestimate how just one player being out is essentially part of the jigsaw, and if you're missing a part of the jigsaw is not finished. That's just the way it goes. If you're missing one part, and sometimes it can not even be the most vital part. I mean, how often do we see a player missing from a team, and then people think, oh wow, they actually realise how much that player was an important part of the team, and it's not always necessarily the strongest player. So I think, I think just one or two players not in your team, or one or two players playing out of position in your team, can disrupt the team completely.
Yeah,
I think like a team like Argentina have been a great example for quite a few years now. Argentina, on paper, if you reeled off the players that play for Argentina, you'd be like, oh, they're going to win the World Cup. They're going to win everything. They're incredible. But if they're not all fitting in and they're not all working, then you're not going to be able to maintain form. You're not going to be able to push on and compete with the other top teams. And I think having your, not even necessarily your best team, but having the team that works together the best, and that chemistry there, I think, is key. And as soon as there's a part of that team that's not working, whether it be from an injury, whether it be players not trying hard enough, or whatever it is, I think it makes a massive difference. So I think that's sort of the obvious one with Liverpool. But I mean, there may be many things behind the scenes that we're not seeing and we're not hearing about that could also be causing it. But yeah, I mean, obviously with the professional game, we don't know the ins and outs of what's going on with Salah, Klopp, Wijnaldum, whatever. But yeah, I think definitely missing a player or two can definitely make a huge difference. Because like I say, we've all been there as players or coaches when you're in the changing rooms or on the sideline, and everyone's going, oh no, Matt's not here today, or I don't know, so and so's not here today. What are we going to do? It's like, as much as you try not to think about it, it's a mental thing. You do worry that so and so's not here, or what we're going to do. So, but yeah, it'd be very interesting to see next year if they just sort of, it'd be interesting if Liverpool just go back to what they were last year. It'll be, I don't know, it'd be really weird. I don't know. We'll see. We'll soon see. I'm actually really looking forward to see if that is what it is.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. Do you feel like it was like a reliant on the team because they knew what the starting 11 would be, or thereabouts? Do you think there was like a reliant every week on that's going to be the team, so we know they're going to do well? And as soon as that's changed, like you said about use a jigsaw puzzle, for example, but it's like we say when we coach, it's like baking a cake, isn't it? You just chuck some random ingredients in, or you don't do it properly, the cake's not going to come out right, is it? So chuck in Jordan Henderson centre back, and mixing up the positions, it just doesn't work, does it? It doesn't work. So then it's like, well, hang on, that worked for so long, but why isn't it working now? But then we said last year, anyone spoke to me, I said, Liverpool, what a fantastic team. And that starting 11, you can add maybe one or two in, so maybe say 12, 13 players are incredible. When you lose one, they haven't got, I don't think, the quality of that player to come in to replace him. Whereas I feel Man City have. And Man City, when a player goes out, they've got someone to replace him who's just as good, if not better sometimes. It depends on your opinion. Depends, what would you like? Do you like Jesus? Do you like Aguero? What style do you like? Do you like Sterling? Do you like Mahrez? It's like, Zinchenko or Mendy. It's just unbelievable. But, if you lose Trent, I don't think, 9 out of 10 people couldn't name the reserve right back. Or if you lose Robertson, who's the left back? If you lose the front three, are the replacement front three better or on par? I'm going to say no. So it's then just trying to deal with the new team, isn't it? And that's hard as well, because then it turns mental, and it's like, like you said, we haven't got Virgil van Dijk. Oh no. And then confidence is low, and then results don't go your way. And then confidence is shot to pieces, and it's so hard to then bring that back. And I feel like if anyone listens to this and the form does dip, whether it be in life or in football, as we're talking about, always try to find positives. It's so easy to focus on the negatives then and go, oh, we haven't got Van Dijk, whatever, we're done now. Let's just write off the season. But, think of a new way, find the new way. And that's Klopp's, I suppose, aim to find the new way. And he just hasn't kind of worked out, has it? Even he seems a bit different as well. He seems a bit deflated from it all. So it doesn't help. But just a quick one before we move on from Liverpool, is that I was watching him last night, and I wrote something down actually because I wanted to remember it. But I feel like when you're winning, I'd like to know your opinion on this and other people's opinion if you want to write in. So when you're winning, you don't really think as much. So when you're winning, say you're on a big run like Liverpool were last year, you don't think everything comes natural. You know where you're going to be. You know where your teammates are going to be. When you finish, you don't overthink you finish. You knock it in first time, or you play your pass, or when you defend, you know what you're doing. You know where people are going to be. You know who's covering you. As a goalkeeper, you know you're going to collect that ball. You know you're going to pass to your right back, etc., etc. But I feel like watching them last night and over the last few weeks, actually, they seem to be overthinking like everything, like even like a finish, or like they're like second guessing their pass, or hesitating with the strike, or it seems like that overthinking is knocking their confidence. And there was a stat last night, it might have changed now, but their last 70 shots on goal, they scored 2 of them. And like it's something like, I can't remember, I think it's like 3% chance conversion. You think this is Liverpool we're talking about. Last season, they had 70 shots. They're scoring, I don't know, maybe half, just under half. I don't know. That's crazy, isn't it? It's not 70 shots they had before last night's game against Wolves. They scored 2 from 70, which is just incredible. So, and I just felt like people like Mane, Salah, they just seem to be like overthinking it. Maybe not Salah as much actually, but Mane, Firmino, certain players, they seem to be overthinking the pass, overthinking the strike. And when you have that thought process in your head, you doubt yourself, don't you think? You doubt yourself. Like I've had that. I've had bad runs where I haven't scored for a few weeks, and you're like, when you're on a good run, you don't think about it. I want to run with a keeper. Yeah, I'm putting it in. I'm not even thinking about putting it in. It's going in. If it doesn't, I'll get another chance. But when you're missing, you're like, what am I doing wrong? What have I got to do? And then you kind of hesitate, and then it affects it, which then affects your form.
Yeah, I think mentally, the positive side of form and the negative side of form is enormous. I mean, like you say, like when you're losing, you're very negative, and you're very sort of down on yourself, and down on sort of the game in general. Because you think, oh, we're not going to win today, or I'm not going to score today, or that winger's too quick, I'm not going to be able to stop him, or this formation's not working. And I think, whereas like you say, when you excuse me, when you're winning, none of those thoughts come into your mind. And I think the mental side of form is enormous. And I think I don't think, especially with the professional game, I think we look at the football players in professional footballers like these like robots that like don't have minds. It's like they're like these amazing people that, because they earn loads of money and they play professionally, they don't think the same as us normal people. But I don't know. a Barcelona player, yeah, they're playing for one of the best clubs in world football. Yeah, they earn £200,000 a week, but they can still struggle in their mind when they're in front of goal, or when they walk down that tunnel out to the pitch. They can still be worried about what happened last week, or the fact that they couldn't hit the target in training. And I think, or they everything's gone in training, and they're walking out of the tunnel 10 feet tall. So I think mentally, I think at every level, as a coach, as a player, anything. And I think as a coach as well, and as a player, obviously it's difficult to do this as a fan. I suppose you can do it as a fan in the stands, not so much on the telly because the fans can't hear you. But I think when it comes to form, your energy, that your positivity or your negativity rubs off on the other players. If you're a player or if you're a coach, so I think it's important to try and, obviously it's difficult because we are negative in football sometimes, because that's just the way it is, and we are down on ourselves. But I think it's important to try and stay positive and get that positive energy to your players as a coach, or to the other players. And when you go and watch the games, you might think that you're booing helps, which baffles me, but it doesn't. And I don't know, Matt, you're a Palace fan. If you're booing Van Aanholt, makes a mistake and you're booing him, it's not going to help him in the slightest. He's not going to think, oh yeah, cheers, Matt, that's brilliant. It's strange, but I think that you got a sort of positive energy needs to sort of breed within a team, and that's going to help to sort of better the form. I think the sort of mental side of it is huge, and I think it's, like I said, it's definitely underestimated in the professional game. And also, I suppose in amateur football, I mean, I've played football for years. I don't think I ever remember sort of having the conversation with like teams I played for, like having a talk about like sort of where we were mentally. It was more like, right, we're doing 4-4-2 today. Aaron's right midfield, blah 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 blah. Let's go out. Let's not like, boy, form's been really good. Like, let's be positive. Like, this wasn't really something we ever really talked about, which I think it should be. It's important. I think nowadays, it will be talked about more, because obviously mental health is such a big thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's so right though, because I mean, who's to say, you know, if I'm on a run and scoring 10 in a row, maybe, I don't know, or we're on a good run, who's to say that week something bad's happened in my life? You know, God forbid, you might have lost someone, or you've had a bad week at work, or you might have broke up with your partner, or I don't know, you might have been turned down a job, you applied for a job and you didn't get it. Anything, there's so many things. And that's going to impact your game, surely. It's going to impact it. And how many times have you or anyone turned up, maybe not children as much, but actually, no, do you know what? Children as well, actually, just on a less scale. How many times have you had, like, I don't know, a bad night's sleep, or woke up and things aren't going right in your life and you have to go to football and you're like, oh, I've got to go football. But when you go there, you just don't tell anyone, do you? You just get on with it. And then you have a bad game, and it might not be because you're bad. It's just because you're having a bad week, or you're on a bad run of form. It's mad, isn't it? You know, maybe there should be more, you know, friends and teammates should talk to each other more, and like about their personal lives as well. Maybe that might help form and well, creating a good form. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's the same as these players that, like, you know, Barcelona don't seem Barcelona at the minute. Liverpool are not quite what they were last season. Maybe they're having arguments in the change room we don't know about. Maybe they're having bad personal things at home. You don't know, do you? So, and like you said, it doesn't help booing. It should be more about positive, like finding positives, even if they're minor, and then build off them. So, like, if you've lost a game, you lost 2-0, rather than going in going, oh, we lost 2-0, like, you're rubbish, blah, blah, blah. Go, do you know what, actually, today we lost 2-0. We're in a bad run of form, boys, but I know we did lose 5-0. there's one positive. Or, you know what, we created more chances than the last game. Or, you know, you in the middle of midfield on a number 4, call him John. John in the middle of the pitch. John, you were fantastic this week. Well done, mate. You know, let's all build up from John's performance. But yeah, there's so much, like, when you lose, it's just like, it's all doom and gloom the whole time. And I feel like if you're in a bad run of form, you don't need that doom and gloom, because it's not going to help. It's not going to help at all, is it? Like, if you have a bad game, and I have a go at you, how are you going to feel? Like, we're mates, and if I have a go at you, or there's, I've been in the change room loads of times. We've lost like 3-4 in a row, There's just no talking in the changing room, or we don't go back for a drink, or that's not going to help, is it? I think like it's about trying to be a better loser as a team and as a person. And I think managers and players have a responsibility to act in the right way from losing to try and pick up that form again. Because how good will it feel when you win again? It'll feel so good, wouldn't it? It'll feel amazing because then
Yeah,
you've gone, do you know what, this week we lost 2-0, but this was great, this was great, this is great. So that's good. Let's try and build with that. And people go, yeah, do you know what, we lost, but we did some good things. Let's do them next week. And then it will come. And then the win will feel amazing because you're like, do you know what, we identified that and we sussed it out. I was going to say something else as well before we move on to another part of form, but this is from speaking from experience as a manager. When I go on a massive, well, when my team's going on a big run of wins, I think you get complacent and you kind of go, you know, I'm not speaking for everyone here, but you win, and then kind of like your sessions go a bit easier. Then, you know, I will. The boys or girls will rock up, and I'll just do like a fun session. Well, we have a night off tonight. You won at the weekend. Well done, guys. We go again, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And then when you lose, it's a massive shock. So, oh no, we lost. You know, and you just think, did I get lazy as a manager? Did I get lazy? Did we get lazy as players? Do we just think, oh, we can win every week? It's about trying to if you're on a good run of form, try and treat every week as a blank canvas and go again. But it's so easy when you're winning to go, oh, yeah, we're winning. We don't need to train. We don't need to warm up. We're fine. We're all right. We're good. Even managers, yeah, we're high fiving you. This is great. Yeah, we're brilliant. Yeah, well done, guys. There's nothing wrong. And when it goes wrong, it feels like 20 times worse. How many times have you been in a winning team, Aaron? Been winning. You lose, and everyone has a go at each other.
yeah. Oh, yes, it's so common, so common.
It's mad, isn't it? Then you think, hang on a sec, we just had a 10-game win streak. You won't have a go at me then. So, you know, and that's gonna affect form, isn't it? You lose one game in 10, people are gonna have a go at you, and then I won't be surprised if it happens the week after you start losing again. And then it's like, but you need to go back to what was good from the start, not when you was in the run and you get complacent and get lazy. What was it that started your run, and can you build it every week, and not to get complacent?
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think in terms of like complacency, I think a lot of teams and people are very, very guilty of that. So I think you, like you say, you do get carried away. I guess that what I sort of was going to sort of mention, and we'll move on to, which kind of does kind of tie in with that a little bit, was like pressure and expectation. And I think when you're a winning team, you put pressure on yourself. That pressure might come from somewhere else as well. But as a winning team, you expect to just win every week, and it's like that expectation. And also, like, I mean, how often do we hear, like, at the start of a football season, like, I don't know, we say it to ourselves, oh, we're going to win the league this year, or I'm going to score 20 goals this year, or so and so are going to win the league. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. And it's like, because they're the favourites. That's what everyone says is going to happen. It's almost like that's expected to happen. But that expectation, especially in a group of players, 5 players might deal with that expectation, all right, but the other 5 might not. And I think it's or you may deal with it really well, and it's sort of, and I think it's difficult because I think obviously children's football at the lower level is obviously it's all non-competitive and it's games, but even the kids still, not many kids are going to go out and expect to lose. They still go out and want to win, and there's still a certain amount of pressure on the game regardless, because they're still running around and trying to score goals and trying to do the best that they possibly can. And there's obviously the pressure and expectation from the parents. I suppose there's pressure and expectation from the coach to a certain extent, not to win the game necessarily, but for, I suppose you I don't know if expect is the same word, I suppose, when it comes to children's football, but it's you're encouraging your players to do what you've done at training. So you want to see them do. You've worked on switching the play. You want to see your players do that. So there's that pressure from there. Not that you're shouting and screaming at them, you must switch the play, but you've worked on it with them, so they know they've turned up on a Saturday morning and they're thinking, oh, Matt really wants us to switch the play today. Like, I've got to do it. Not that if they don't do it, you're gonna sack them or bring a new team in, but I suppose there is pressure and expectation in football, and I think it's handling that pressure and expectation in the right way, and not. You can't handle the pressure and expectation coming from other people at the end of the day, whether whether you're a professional football player, whether you're playing for your local pub team or a kids team. You can't handle the pressure that other people put on you. But I think some people are very guilty of putting too much pressure and expectation on themselves. And I think sometimes I've been guilty of it many a time. People that know me, I'm not a goal scorer. I used to put pressure on myself. Like, I need to score more goals. 10 goals a season was plenty for me. That was like my limit. But for some reason, I wanted to score the same as like the striker, or get close to it. But that's not me. That's not. Why did I put that pressure on myself? It was never going to happen. So obviously, in that then I suppose we're now sort of onto sort of, I suppose, individual form, which is obviously another thing as well. And I think players so many players are guilty of sort of putting that pressure and expectation on themselves. And also, like, I think you maybe I thought other people wanted that from me, but they probably didn't, because that's not what I was in a team to do. And I think it's so big pressure and expectation in football. And I think like I say, it's trying to handle it. I suppose it sort of goes full circle back to sort of the mental side of things, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And like with the individual form, like you just mentioned, I feel like players and managers, well, especially managers, but players as well. And do you know what, guys? People listen to this, not just in football, like in life, in a work environment, in a school environment. If you see someone's not on form, all right. So, like we said, it could be they might have had an illness, or they might have some family problems, or you name it. We've named some already. But if they're not on form, that's okay. That's fine. And I feel like we're so quick in football to, if someone's not having a good game, we're so quick to have a go at people, and the manager's like, "Oh, come off, or you're not starting the next game." That's not going to help that person. I feel it needs like someone to put their arm around them, boost them up with confidence, remind them of what they do good, try and get them back to that, and then say, we go again. It's okay to have a bad week. We go again. If it keeps happening, that's when you just need to keep going with it. Try something new. Help this person out in training. Help them out in a game. It's so difficult to, when you're in that bad run of form, to get out of it, and your mind is just saying, "Oh no, I can do it, but I can't do it." And you get so frustrated. So it's about trying to not get frustrated. Maybe go back to the basics, and if you see someone who's on a bit of a bad run of form, help them out. Like, literally big them up so much. Honestly, it make them feel so good. Remember, I had a run where I didn't score for a few games, and being a striker, I was just so miserable all week. So all me being miserable all week, that didn't help me the next week, because I was putting too much pressure on myself. But it might just need a friend or a coach to go, "Matt, you score goals for fun. It's going to happen. It's fine." Or, "Let's do some more shooting in training," or, "Let's put you in scenarios that maybe, like, as a coach, like if I was missing a load of one-on-ones, just go and do 100 one-on-ones every day at the park or something, or in training, or working outside of the game, and it will come back." Because it's almost like your mind will remember how to do it, but it's just having the confidence to do that, isn't it? And confidence is huge in football, isn't it? Absolutely huge. We see it all the time. It's just massive. But then, how can you measure confidence? A lot of people say you measure confidence by winning, but why can't you have confidence when you're losing as well? You should do,
Yeah.
because it's just more like people being realistic and saying that even Messi has a bad game. So you said about robots. If I have a bad game playing for Saturday League game, whatever, in Maidstone, and I'm kicking myself about it, Lionel Messi, one of the best players ever, has bad games. Ronaldo has bad games. Do you know what I mean? So it's about putting that into perspective, and then just dealing with it the right way, I suppose.
Yeah, so true. I think, like, I just wanted to sort of on the sort of, like, not putting too much pressure on people, and that sort of way of looking at things. I've got two examples that I've just sort of come up with in my head. One of them's a guy that we were talking about the other day, and another one's one of my favourite players. So the two players I want to look at is Thomas Souček for West Ham and Eden Hazard. So you look at these two players, right? At the start of the season, nobody was really talking about Thomas Souček. He played well last year. He was on loan last year, I think, wasn't he? And they made it permanent. No one was really talking about him at the start of the year. Like, he was going to play in the midfield for West Ham. That was kind of it. Ever since Hazard's gone to Real Madrid, like, I feel like I I don't feel that he's been the same player, but I feel like there's so much pressure on him because of the transfer fee, because of how good he was for Chelsea. And you look at how I know we're looking at two completely different players here, but like just look at that example. And I know there's probably various other things going on in both their lives, but you look at the difference in how well like Souček looks. He looks world class. He looks. I don't even know what, but they paid like nearly nothing for him. He was a bargain in comparison to Hazard. And you look at the amount of pressure that is on Hazard, and I know he's playing for one of the biggest clubs in world football, so there's going to be pressure on him. But the difference is like is scary. And I know they're playing in different teams, and there's so many different variables we can look at. But I just thought that was quite an interesting sort of comparison, that a player that there's not much pressure on. You look at the team on the whole as well. West Ham, like the team are flying with various players similar to Souček that are not big names, but they're going out there and they're doing their job, and there's not that pressure on them. Whereas I feel like Hazard, ever since he's gone to Madrid, that pressure has been well, you could argue it's been too much. I think was it Nicolas Anelka once said, didn't he? That
just about to say that.
And do you know what, I found it really interesting that because if you said to me go and play for Real Madrid, you couldn't get me there quick enough. But it's quite interesting how he said like the pressure was just, and Nicolas Anelka was one of the best strikers to play the game. He's unbelievable, and he said like I just couldn't handle it. I could not handle it, and I thought that was really interesting to hear that from a professional. That he and not many people would admit that there was too much pressure on him, and I think that was what I thought that was really interesting to hear that from a pro footballer, which was quite sad really. I think like I don't know, it just upset me a bit to think that he felt under so much pressure that he couldn't perform for one of the best teams in the world. It shouldn't be like that, should it? It should not be like that at all.
Not at all. Like using the Anelka one again, like you're right, he was on fire, wasn't he, before he signed for Real Madrid? And he's going to get more chances playing for that kind of club. But he said, you haven't watched it, guys. He was saying every time I had a bad game, it's in the media, it's in the press, it's in the paper, it's on the TV. Press were outside his house every day. We don't think about that, do we? As fans, we just think, oh, you've got to deliver. But, if you take away all that and just left him and let him be a family man and let him enjoy his football, I have no doubt he would have scored lots of goals for Real Madrid and maybe been there for more years. But his goal scoring record there was terrible. And that's not a coincidence, surely, is it? It can't be a coincidence. Same with Hazard. Maybe Hazard's doing the same thing right now. Who knows? It's mad, isn't it? Talking about going back to form again with like team form. So do you think that teams go on good runs of form? They say that famous saying, form goes out the window.
Yeah.
So like use the Derby example. So a team may be on a run of X amount of games, they've won so many, then they play their biggest rival. Doesn't count that day, does it? It's mad, isn't it? Because it's a different game. Because then again that day, it's just Liverpool, for example. Liverpool last year, absolutely flying. As soon as they play Man United or Everton, it's like, oh no, we've got to win for the fans. If I score today, I'm going to be a hero. If I have a terrible game, they're going to hate me. If I mess up today, I'm hated for life. We've got to win this game, like not just for the league table, but for pride, for the fans, for the club, for the history, and like who can deal with that the best. But it's weird, isn't it? Like a team, Barcelona could win a bunch of games. They could play Getafe, Celta Vigo, Cadiz, win, 4-0, 5-0, yeah, rocking up, going for the motions, not thinking, and then bang, Real Madrid. Oh no. What about the form, the last 5 games that are on fire, playing nice, fluid football? As soon as it's Real Madrid, oh no, the world's watching. We've got to be on it. Form just goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, it's like it's one of those weird things in, I suppose, not just football, sport in general. It's like you say, you could have had a really bad run of form, you could have a really good run of form, you could be up and down. But yeah, the second the Derby game comes along, it is. I just it's weird though, because it's every derby. It doesn't matter whether it's a London derby, whether it's Merseyside derby, whether it's the Milan derby. Like two countries playing. Like it's just weird. It's so bizarre how that kind of happens. And I suppose that comes then. That's where that sort of the rivalry comes in, and I suppose it's come back to that whole pressure thing again as well, isn't it? I suppose it is really weird. because I always think like it's weird because whenever I go into sort of a derby game, it's mainly Arsenal, Tottenham, I suppose. Like Arsenal could have lost the last 5 games, but for some reason I'm still like confident that we can get something out of the Tottenham game because it's a derby game. It's just the way it goes though. It's just so it is really bizarre.
on that
weird.
Arsenal Tottenham night, I said to many people, I said Tottenham they win this game because they just look so good. Like the last few weeks, it's been like gelling. But then I went, you know what? It's gonna be one of those games where Arsenal win 1-0 because, like you said, form goes out the window, and it kind of proved that way. Arsenal, well, I'm not seeing the full game, but that was what I've heard. Arsenal were the better team, so it's crazy that Tottenham couldn't take that form into that game. You know, that good run form. How they couldn't take it in? It's just mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. But then I suppose, sorry, I was going to say, like, is that again? Does that come back to that whole pressure thing? Is that like because Tottenham were in good form? So could you argue that were Tottenham under more pressure to win the game? I don't know who were the favourites to win the game. I'm guessing it probably was Tottenham. Well, I'm not saying it was at Arsenal, wasn't it? But
yeah, it was Tottenham, Josh. Yeah,
Tottenham. It kills me to say, but at the moment, Tottenham are the better team. So Tottenham are arguably under more pressure than Arsenal to win the game, and Arsenal probably went into it thinking, well, what have we got to lose? They're not having a great season, Arsenal. They probably thought, well, they just would go out there and play, and Arsenal were a little bit more relaxed because it seemed like Tottenham had more of a game plan, and it was like we don't want to lose the game, or we want to keep the game tight for as long as we can. And did they feel under more pressure? I don't know. I don't know because I'm not in the Tottenham changing room, but yeah, it's weird.
So many people are going to crop that bit out of you saying Tottenham are the better team, and using that against you.
Yeah, well, they can use it against me for a couple of years. Won't be long. We'll be back.
How funny.
Just
with form. Sorry, quickly, mate. I was just going to say with form as well. It goes into like everyday life as well. So like, I know we're talking about football, but don't you think that like you might be flying at work or doing really well at school, and as soon as like your teacher watches you or your manager comes in or you've been observed, you're like, oh no, you just overthink everything, don't you? Like I know in my life, teaching in primary schools, it's all like every day it's like, yeah, like I know what I'm doing, I know exactly what I'm teaching, I know how to do it, I'm confident. And then as soon as like, I don't know, you get observed by Ofsted or the head teacher comes in, you're like, oh no, do I need to change it? But you just be yourself because then that it's obviously working to keep it going. So I'd say to people like, just be confident in yourself and know what you need to do and try not to worry too much about other things or other people, other comments. Just do what you got to do. And if you know you're doing the right thing, then that will help with your form. So, yeah, sorry, mate. What was you going to say?
Yeah, that's all right. No, yes, no, it's quite on point with that. Really, I just wanted to sort of touch on like I suppose like in all levels of football, like I suppose you can call them fans at amateur football. But it's like we've obviously noticed it in the pandemic in the last year, which obviously the only time we've ever witnessed something like this, I suppose, is in like pre-season friendlies when there's no fans. But it's like the crowd and supporters, and I think I've definitely noticed that in kids football as well, and men's football. I mean, I've played in cup finals or coached in cup finals and stuff, and like I've seen my players that I'm coaching or me myself as a player, like I don't play the same because I've not played in front of thousands of fans, but normally I don't know when I played for my Saturday teams or Sunday teams, maybe 10 mates on the sideline, maybe like one of my mates' granddads or something on the sideline. But you go to a cup final, there's like 70, 80 people there, and it's different. It's different, and it's that can affect your form. That can affect the way you play. You might have been playing really well up until then, or you might have been playing really poor, and those fans might lift you, or all those fans you might feel under more pressure. And I suppose we're noticing it in the professional game as well. Like that could be what's affecting Liverpool. Like Liverpool, I've never been to Anfield. I'd love to go, but from what I see on the telly, especially the Champions League, like the atmosphere is electric. Like the atmosphere is absolutely unbelievable. So I wonder if I know for a fact, sorry, that the fans and supporters on the sideline can definitely have an impact on the way a team plays, the way we spoke about booing obviously earlier, didn't we? But obviously we see it in kids football as well. It's obviously with parents, you don't want the parents to stand there and not say a word, but obviously you want the parents to be positive and be encouraging, because that even just the sort of can have an effect on the way a game is going, and it can, I don't know. I mean, I've been to Palace with you many a time and seen it. It's when a pass goes back to the goalkeeper, and everyone goes, and it's the same. It's the same in sort of in men's football, women's football, kids football, like at lower levels.
Yeah.
Ball goes to the keeper, and everyone goes, oh, but that's not. Yeah, but it's not. And that doesn't help. And I think, or if somebody misses a chance, I don't know. You might have a young striker that's really, really sort of low on confidence because he hasn't been scoring, misses a chance, and everyone goes, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
Oh.
That person knows more than any. Sorry, I was saying that person knows more than anyone that they missed the chance. They know exactly that that what they should have done. They don't need people going, "Oh." Sorry, carry
on. No, yeah. I think obviously at the top level of football, it's that is it. That the profession, you're a professional. I think you just got to deal with it. And I get for a lot of sort of parents, family members, fans on the sidelines at sort of amateur level football. It is a natural reaction, but I do think we have to, and I think I've always tried to be conscious of that as a supporter and as a coach to not. I think we were saying earlier, weren't we, about passing that sort of negative energy onto your fellow players, onto the players you're coaching, and trying to from the sideline encourage and be positive, and because I think that can definitely that could change, like just one negative sort of shout from the sideline or comment or even I could throw my arms up in the air. I don't know why I threw them up in the air because no one can see me. but just throwing your arms up in the air can definitely have a negative impact on a player. I've heard fans in the stands at professional games like shouting horrible abuse at players. I think that must, the players, they may not hear it, but if they do hear a certain bit, it must affect them. It must have an effect on you. It must. Some players maybe some players maybe thrive in it, but some definitely don't, and not everyone can handle it at any level. Which I just think, I think it's huge, and I think it's something that I don't know, because you can't. I'm not saying I want fans to never say a word, because that's not because I think fans are fantastic at all levels of football, but I think it can definitely impact your form either way, like depending on how you're wired, I guess, as a player or a coach or whatever.
It's so true. Like you look at going back to Liverpool again, but they're not just Liverpool. They're people playing without fans at the moment. It is definitely impacting the games. 100%. There's me 100% again. I was doing so well. I didn't say it till then.
I don't think we said it up until then.
Oh no! Do you know what else I did? I've been going, and laughing away on mute. We'll get there, won't we? We'll get there. We'll 100% get there. So true. Look, I'm going to look at some stats about no fans to fans. Maybe like away wins to home wins, because I know I've heard this. I need to actually research it properly, but I've heard there's been more away wins than ever. Since there's been no crowds, and that's no coincidence there. And I feel like, I suppose that people, if you're listening to this, please, from now on, when we're back to football, just keep encouraging. Don't wave your arms about. Don't have a go at someone. They know if they miss a sitter, they're the one person in the world that knows they've missed a sitter. If a goalkeeper's gone to save and it's gone under their legs, or they pushed it into the goal by mistake, they know they've made a mistake. The manager will bring it up. The play is fine. You don't need to wave and have a go at them, okay? Because that can then affect form. If you've got someone having a go at people, that's going to then affect your form. If you've got someone encouraging you, it's going to affect your form in a good way. So if you miss a sitter, it's okay. Why not say, well done for getting to that position? Yes, you're a yard from goal. Yes, you ballooned it over the bar, but you made the run. You got there, so well done. And that's something that I've tried to do over the years, but especially the last few years. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, that player knows they miss a sitter. Yes, the manager's gutted. Yes, the fans are gutted. But it's not going to help having a go at him, is it? So I suppose I now say, especially like the little ones, I'll say to them, "That's good, well done." Actually, I've got a striker who plays me in my under 16 team, and he will get a chance. I remember when he first joined my team, and he had a few chances, missed them, hit him wide or saved. And he was going, "Oh no!" Getting frustrated, throwing his arms up, and I go, I won't say his name, but I was saying, "Well done, mate, really well done." And I remember he said to me after a couple of weeks of me coaching, he said, "Why are you saying well done to me missing shots?" Well, mate, you got in that position. You made that run. You got the chance on goal. You did that. You know, I said, I'll be having a go at you if you weren't there. And he was like, oh, yeah. So that's fine. So you keep getting to those positions, the goals will come. You know, same as all kinds of positions. You know, what about a winger? And they start wide all game. And they get really frustrated because they get moaned at, them touch the ball. So then they come inside to get the ball. But the manager wants to come out wide. It will pay off. Sometimes the ball doesn't go out wide in games. But I've got another player who I told him just that. I said, I want you to stay out wide. Okay. And as soon as he was a right midfielder, I said, as soon as the left midfielder gets the ball and the striker gets the ball, you go and join him with the striker. So he went, okay. So the week before, it's a true story as well. The week before, he did it over and over and over and over again. How many times did he get the ball? 0. Not once he touched the ball in the final third. Okay. So I pulled him over. Again, I won't say his name, but I said, look, that was brilliant. And I gave him man of the match. People were like, what? He barely touched the ball. I said, this boy was constantly doing the runs I told him to do, constantly, over and over and over and over again. And I made a big thing of saying that. So no, didn't score, no, didn't get an assist, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, what happened the next week? And this is the God's honest truth. He scored a hat-trick. It was his first ever hat-trick for me. Because he kept doing the same runs. It does pay off. So if you might get frustrated, but you got to stick to it, trust the process, and it will help. So which can then help form, can't it? So
yeah,
if you believe in what your manager's telling you, and it pays off, what a feeling! And then after that, he actually scored another couple in the next 3 games by doing the same runs. And it's just such a good feeling.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if I just gave up and went, oh, he's doing those runs, it didn't work, whatever, we'll move on. He wouldn't have helped. He wouldn't have got the hat trick. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think so much. Everything I think we spoke about, I think, comes back to just being positive. I think we spoke about that in last week's podcast, didn't we? About like being, and I think, like we said about with football coming back at grassroots level, it's all about being positive, isn't it? I think that's the biggest thing. But we've got a few more sort of things written down here. I'll tell you what we'll do, Matt. Why don't we just sort of whiz through the last few bits? Just maybe have a little brief sort of sentence or two, if we can.
Yeah, we tried to. Sorry, guys.
One of the things I think we've got written down here is our age. Like, so why don't you do age, and then I'll do the next one. So in terms of, I suppose, like kids, professionals, how does age affect form, I guess?
Yeah, I'll be quick as I can with these, because I know we want to finish with something pretty cool in a minute, which I'm actually quite excited for. So in a minute, guys, we've got quite a cool thing we're going to do. Age is we'll talk about adults first. I'll base it off myself first from personal experience, and then as quick as I can. So like, I've always been quite a fast player. I've always been quite quick. That's probably my best attribute, is my speed. And yes, I'm getting older. I've lost my speed. I've lost my speed. So then, what do I do now? Like, I've lost my best attribute. So I suppose, like, I was on good form, relying on my speed, playing off the last man. But it's about adapting. So like, if you've lost something that through age, guys, it's natural. You're going to lose your speed. You're going to lose your reactions. It's fine. Just laugh about it. It's perfectly natural, and just change your game. Mix up your game. So then I've been playing deeper roles, as you know. I don't play off the last man anymore. So I come in now and I try to like play quicker passes. I'll time my runs. I'll be more conservative in my runs. But yeah, same with kids and that. When kids go through an age where they got growing pains and that's going to affect them. Like, some people's muscles grow at different stages and their bones grow at different stages, sometimes at different times. It's going to affect your running and everything. So that's bound to affect your form. It's okay. It's natural. Age is going to happen, guys. It's something that we can't avoid, unfortunately. We all want to stay young forever, but it's about then just trying to adapt your game. That's what I'd say with that one, and try and just change it as much as you can to then continue your good form.
Yeah. I think, like you say, I think at any age, your age can affect your form. But like you say, kids, adults, professionals, it can affect it in any way. The next thing we've got is
on that age one quickly. I'm going to say, we've met on your opinion quickly with Lionel Messi, because he's just ridiculously good. Like, I feel that he could play centre midfield when he loses speed a bit more. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's centre midfield or what, but I 100%. Oh, there it is. Oh no, 100% think he could he'll definitely go to another position, whether it is centre mid or if it's sort of even deeper than that, sort of a holding midfield. I don't know what he'll do, but I do. I think he's so smart. He'll find a way to keep playing which I suppose leads us on to the next point on position. I think players play in different positions. Like some players, well, do you know what? I think you'd find it hard, maybe other than a goalkeeper, but there's probably a lot of goalkeepers that have played other positions. I think you'd find it hard to find a player that has played the same position their whole life. Like, it's very, very rare. And I think, like, sometimes we can be a bit hard on players for, like, not performing in a certain position, or sometimes we're like, a player plays in a certain position and we're like, oh yeah, they're definitely a striker, or they're definitely this, or they're definitely that. And I think obviously playing in a different position can, I don't know, you might be a striker normally, and your manager asks you to go play left midfield and put crosses in the box, but that might not be your strength. Your strength might not be crossing, so you might not have a good game, or I don't know, you might go out wide and you're putting in great crosses, and then you go back up front again and you're not playing as well, maybe because you play really well up wide, and it can have a massive effect on your form, positively or negatively. And I think you look at a professional game, and I think West Ham's a good example. I think they've found the best way to get Mikel Antonio in their team, and it's working really well. Whereas if you put him maybe right midfield or right back or wherever he plays everywhere, that guy. But that seems to be giving him his best form, and that seems to be giving the team the best form as well. And that's working. Whereas if you maybe put him somewhere else to try and sort of just force him into the team, I don't think it would really work quite as well, would it? Yeah. So I think position is so important. I think it's also important to maybe players to try and if you do get put in a new position to try your best to learn that position and ask. I mean, I used to have a player that played for one of my girls' teams years ago, and she always used to play left midfield. She was like an inverted winger. She was left midfield, right footed, fantastic, very pacey, good at getting balls in the box, left foot, right foot, fantastic. But for whatever reason, I had to play centre midfield. And she'd never really played centre midfield before, but I just said, I sort of talked her through it and whatever. And she came to me and said, I'm just really not sure what to do, which was great because then we had that conversation, like a further conversation of I want you to push on when this player's got the ball, or drop a bit deeper when we lose the ball, or drop this far back and shuffle right left when this happens, and then I'm pretty sure, similar to your guy you were talking about, she went and had a player of the match game. I think that particular game she got player of the match just from purely having that conversation. So I think yeah, form can definitely change on your position, but it's about having that conversation having that conversation to make sure that it's a positive change. You've got loads more things on the list. I'll tell you what, there's one more that's grabbing me, which is right at the bottom of our list. I don't know why I said at the bottom, because it's quite important. I'll let you touch on this one, Matt. Tactics. How that word, you know, whenever I say the word tactics, it always sounds weird. Tactics. It's a funny word, but yeah, I mean, you obviously you still coach teams, Matt. Tactics, that's one you could go on about all day. How does that affect?
Definitely. I know. Like, I don't want to go on too much because, like I said, there's so much on the list. But like, just to let you know the list we've got, because we won't go from all now because we're going to be all day. But I said, like, relationship with coach and players, weather, routine, kickoff times, physical health, mental health, crowd, supporters, pressure, expectation, balance, chemistry. They're all the things that can affect form. It's a lot of things, isn't it? So there's things that you write down, which is so good. Like, Aaron's writing us down, and it's just so much that can affect it. So yeah, tactics. Okay, briefly, yeah, you know, some tactics work with some teams, some don't. It can affect form. So like, you know, if we go with like certain managers gel with players, don't they? And they gel with their tactics. Like, you know, I remember like Peter Crouch used to go. Didn't he go with Harry Redknapp to a few clubs, didn't he? And
yeah.
And is it Nico Cranchar as well with Harry Redknapp? And
yeah,
I can't think of the top of my head now. There's probably a few players that have joined certain managers because they just work, they just gel together, don't they? Because they like their tactics, which is going to help their form. So, but yeah, with tactics, I suppose it's if you put out a formation that's working, it's amazing. You don't want to change it. But when it's not working, it's so difficult. Then do you change the tactics? Do you change the formation? Do you change the game plan? It's so hard then to like keep the form up. So with your tactics, I feel like you should always just keep evolving, keep on top of it all the time, because you can't just rely on going, all right, we won a few games playing 4-3-3 or whatever, you know. If it goes wrong, don't just get complacent and go, oh yeah, that'll work again. You need to change. You need to change to certain teams as well. You need to change against certain things. You can't just keep the same tactics. You know, I don't know. Man City won't have the same tactics against, I don't know, West Brom. No disrespect to West Brom, than they would against Barcelona. It'd be completely different. It'd be so different. Same vice versa, isn't it? So it's about like changing your tactics to give your team the best chance, which will then help your form. So yeah, mate, we can talk
Yeah,
about it, couldn't we? Should we wrap it up with our little question?
yeah. Right, let's get. Okay. So to finish up this week, guys, what I want to know is which football player would you compare yourself to, past or present, so they can be a retired player or a player currently playing, in terms of the way you play. So it's not, we're not saying, obviously, I mean, so my example that I've got written down here is I could say I'm like Ronaldo. Obviously, I'm not as good as Ronaldo, but I might think I play like Ronaldo. If you've seen me play, you I nearly said it there. You definitely not the other word or numbers. You know I'm nothing like Ronaldo, but you get the idea. Okay, so but Matt and I we spoke about this yesterday. Do you know what? I'll tell you what, I've written down 1, 2, 3, 4. I've written down 5 players for Matt. And I think
wow.
do you know what? I'm going for that. But I think it's wrong. And I've got 2 for myself. Go on, Matt. You can go first. What's your player? Who would you compare yourself to as a player?
Yeah, so for the purpose of the listeners, I do not think I'm this player, okay? Like Aaron said, we want you to know what player you think you are as well, or what if you've seen us play, who do you think we are as well? So, so yeah, please bear in mind, do not think I am this player. Okay, so I think I've thought about this a lot, but I'm going with, I've played up front most of my life, so I've gone with a striker, even though I've dropped back, as you just heard, into deeper positions. But I'm going with Sergio Aguero.
Oh, he was one of my ones on the list.
Oh, is he really? I'm going with Sergio Aguero because mainly because he's the same height. He's the same height as me. He plays the same way I used to play. He plays on the last man. Yeah, I used to be a good finisher. So yeah, he's a very good finisher, as we all know. You know, his aim is just to score, isn't it? You know, I know he's got loads of other good things about his game, but that was a big part about my playing career. My playing days, I should say. That yeah, I should love scoring goals, and people know that. I want to get a lot of stick for this, but yeah, I just love to have a shot, love to shoot, and Aguero's like that. He plays off the last man. He tries to find the gaps. He tries to, trying to find space all the time. And a player that I suppose I watched and tried to copy as well. Like when I was younger, I used to copy loads of strikers. I used to watch Clinton Morrison every week for Crystal Palace, and then try to copy what he did on the next day. I've always studied strikers, and yeah, so I'm going to go with Aguero. He's right-footed as well, like me. He's the same height. He's quick, but he's not that quick. He's really quick, but he's not like stupid quick.
Yeah.
About his position. So I'm going to go with Aguero. I love that he's on your list, though. That's so cool. But who do you think I was going to say?
So my list, guys, I got like I said, I had 5 players on the list, and then I circled one who I thought Matt would say. I mean, I could have lied to you guys, but I'm honest. I'm an honest guy. So my 5 players on the list. One was Luis Suarez. I also had Jermaine Defoe. I had Sergio Aguero, and I had Harry Kane. And the one I went for, do you know what? I think, yesterday when I first thought about this, Aguero and Suarez were the first ones to come into my head. And then Rooney came into my head today, but I think Rooney's like Matt in his later football career, because I think Matt likes to sort of drop in a bit deeper now, and he's a good passer of the ball as well. And I think that's why I was sort of going with the Rooney one. You like to get in behind, and you like to drop deep and get the ball, sort of bit of a good all round striker. So that's kind of why I went for the Rooney shout. But yeah, Aguero's on my list. Gutted I went for the wrong one there.
You see the smile on my face when those 5 players. I'm not going to fit my head through the door later. That's amazing. I'll take that all day long. I'll take any of those 5 players. But that's cool. You had Aguero on the list. That was really cool. So I've got. I won't. Honestly, I'll let you reveal yours. But again, all day yesterday, it was playing in my mind. Like, who am I going to choose for you? I even like spoke to a few people that know you as well as a player, and yeah, I've gone for one that I really don't think you're going to say this, but
You
now
know, I've got two. I've got two, and I still haven't
oh,
decided.
yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. I'll let you go, but I've got this one player, and I could have wrote about 10, but I decided to stick to this one. Earlier on, I was going to go. I've got 3, and I'll go. Oh yeah, that was the one I chose. But no, I'm sticking to this one. I'm going for it, and I've got my reasons. Oh, I hope I get it right. Go on.
You know, right? I'm going. Do you know what? I'm gonna go him because I watch him. I've watched him play a lot more, and I do really like him. Right. So for me, like we're talking about positions earlier and form and things like that, and I played so many different positions, like sort of as a kid and as an adult. But in my opinion, and sort of what I think I'm best at is sort of centre midfield. That sort of, I don't want to say, oh, they call it CDM now, don't they, the kids? But like I call it holding midfield. But I always thought I was more of like I wasn't a very combative midfielder. Don't get me wrong, I could win the ball back and whatnot, but thought it was a bit more of a sort of, I suppose, like a deep line playmaker kind of thing. I'd sort of, I like to orchestrate moves from from the deeper midfield position. Whether I did or not, I don't know. People that played with me will let me know, I'm sure. But yeah, so the player I've gone for is he's English. Is that we on the right track? No.
Well,
so the reason I've gone for this, the reason I've gone for James Ward-Prowse, and the reason I've gone for James Ward-Prowse is because we had this conversation yesterday. I always used to think one of my biggest qualities was sort of my delivery, my crossing, and for most of the teams I played for, I used to take a lot of corners and things like that. So, and obviously that's James Ward-Prowse takes all the corners. When I was sort of in my earlier days, I used to take all the free kicks, but as I've got older, I'm not quite as good at the free kicks. But yeah, so I think I'd go with James Ward-Prowse just really because I feel very similar to him in the way of I'm not sort of getting in the box all the time, or so I'm sort of getting on the ball and sort of recycling the ball, as they say, and getting it out to the more dangerous players, I suppose, because that's not what my game was not about, being the most dangerous player on the pitch in terms of running at players and things like that. I like to say my strengths I thought lied in the midfield, just getting the ball, giving it to the more direct players. But yeah, so yeah, James Ward-Prowse was my shout. What did you have?
Great player. By the way, if you've not seen Aaron play, he's a great player as well. But the
Cheers,
Ward-Prowse is a great shout. And do you know what? It links. People will be like, what? But it links with my answer. So my answer was, you ready for this? I've gone for Yaya Toure.
Okay.
Now, the reason being, I've got some reasons, don't you worry. I've got some reasons, okay? One of the reasons is the same as what you said about Ward-Prowse. He takes all the set pieces. Now, how good was Yaya Toure at set pieces? Like his free kicks were decent. I suppose he didn't take as many corners because he's usually in the box, isn't he? But that was my thought process. Who takes set pieces? Who plays centre midfield? And another reason why I chose Yaya Toure, which is exactly the same as Ward-Prowse, is he played different positions, and you're very good at. You're not going to say it yourself, but you're very good at adapting position. First time I've seen you play right back. Then I saw you play. Second time I saw you played left wing. Then I saw you play right wing. I've seen you. Then you play centre midfield, which you say is your favourite position, which I agree with. Holding midfield. I've seen you play centre back. I've seen you play in goal. Absolute cat, by the way. I've seen you up front. And you think of Yaya Toure, he played holding midfield, which is your strength. That's why I've gone for that. But then he played centre back a lot. Played centre back in the Champions League final. He's played behind the striker, which I think you're good at as well. He's not really been a wide player. I know you played that wide, but he changed positions. Whereas like Ward-Prowse is a great shout because I saw him play last season, or season before, right back against Palace. He was incredible right back, unbelievable. So he can adapt anywhere. So it's a good shout. So I've gone for Yaya Toure. Also because I think you're good in the air as well. I think you're strong. You're strong in the tackle as well, like which Yaya Toure is. Maybe a bit better than Ward-Prowse. So maybe Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
The
other one I had was Tony Kroos.
Nice.
Tony Kroos, which I think. Do you know what? To be fair, I'd say it's probably a mixture between one of them two and Yaya Toure, because like you say, I did used to love a good header back in. I can't get off the ground now, but I did love a good.
Like Yaya Toure, when you saw at Barcelona, he was just a holding midfield player. He didn't score the goals in City, but like, I've seen you, like when we've had well, we played the same team as he. You scored a fair amount that season, same as Yaya Toure at Man City. Played a different role, but when he was at Barca, he played the Busquets role. Busquets took over Yaya Toure. Remember, he was the holding midfielder, and didn't score as much, but took set pieces, controlled, kept the ball really well, played it short, played it simple, was strong, was a presence. So that's what I've gone for you, mate. I've gone for you, Yaya Toure. What a player!
Yeah, I like that. That's a good shout. It's a good shout. Like I say, I think.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, I think I was sort of going with more the passing route rather than the aerial ability, which like I said, I did. I used to love a good header, but not like I say, not anymore.
you say you've gone for the passing. Look at the two teams Yaya Toure is well known for playing for. Barcelona,
it's true.
Passing team, Man City, the newest team. So I went for so Yaya Toure, mate. And guys, let us know what player you think you are. It'd be quite interesting to know some of our friends and family who they think they are.
Very
or even if they get in touch with us and then we make a guess before they tell them what they are. So that'd be quite. So let us know, guys. Hit us up on Facebook, text, whatever. If you want to write a comment on the YouTube page, do it, guys. It'd be good fun. So. And this was a fun game, guys. We don't really think we're Yaya Toure or Wayne Rooney or Aguero and Ward-Prowse, sorry, okay? But no, mate, thank you, mate. Thanks again for today. Well done. That was really good. We took quite a formal day long, couldn't we?
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you, mate. And thank you all for listening. You know what I think I said this last week. I can't wait for next week again already. And I think next week we're gonna start sort of digging deeper into some sort of tactical talk, sort of looking at some sort of the tactical side of the game, which will be really good. So I'm looking forward to that next week already.
Yeah, I like that.
But no, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, we'll see you later.
See you next week, guys. Thank you.
Adios.
See you later.
Bye.
See ya.